Oh. There we go. It's the same. Okay, welcome to this latest project. I went and I created the Cardinals 1920 roster, which is very difficult to do when you figure that only, according to ProFootballReference.com, only the starters are listed and some of the positions don't line up. Football has changed a lot since 1920. For instance, the fullback back then is now more like a tailback now. A quarterback might be more like a halfback. So it's really just trying to put guys into positions the best I could. I used the base roster created by Kappa Classics. So you can see some historical teams that I'm going to go up against, just to make it a little more fun. In the first couple years, some of the names will be floating around. Why the Cardinals? Well, they're the oldest franchise in the NFL. 1898 as the Morgan Athletic Club. And I really wanted to go back that far, but I could not find any information on players other than founder Chris O'Brien, who I made the backup quarterback, until 1920. So we're using the 1920 roster with some additions. William Bidwell, the future owner, is the kicker. Charles Comiskey, the owner of the Cubs, is the punter. Just so I wasn't duplicating names. I had to sign a second tight end before I could start playing, so I named him Normal Park. Why? Because that's the stadium they played in. I guess I could have, because guys played both ways back then. So I guess I technically could have offensive guys and 25 defensive guys, and maybe I do that for future. If I do this with another franchise, I don't know. I don't know what the future holds on that. But let's get underway. Again, there are no real uniforms pre-1960 on this game anyway. That's why the starting point for the big thing I'm working on is 1960, because when the AFL started. And this is the 87 Lions, so you got Chuck Long coming at quarterback. You'll also notice that all the Cardinals are numbered jersey numbers from, except for Chris O'Brien. Well, hopefully he doesn't get in there. Are numbered 0 through 20, or 1 through 25. 26, evidently. Because I really... There were no jersey numbers in the early 1900s for some teams. Some teams had them, some teams didn't. The Cardinals were evidently not one that did. So I just... excuse me. Went right through the list. 1, 2, 3, 4. Once I got into CFM with the rosters, I then went and changed heights, weights, ages. The plan is to do something similar that we started with the 60 Bills and Packers and Giants. The plan is, excuse me, Still to go through with that too, except we're gonna redux it, reboot it. John M and I are going. I'm doing the whole 1960 roster from 21 league teams, the 8 in the AFL, and the 13 in the NFL. It's 21. Yeah, 13 and 8. Hello. With a projected start date of January 23rd. Now, what that franchise is going to entail is myself controlling the Buffalo Bills from 1960 on up. John M. controlling the New York Giants from 1960 on up. Each new season will start with new rosters. And we're also going to control a second team. I'm going to control the NFC champion, or NFL champion. So 1960 would be the Philadelphia Eagles. He's going to control the AFL or AFC champion. So 1960 would be the Houston Oilers. He's actually going to try and move the Tennessee Titans to Houston to that season. In fact, I'm going to try and move the Cardinals to Chicago. I don't know if you can move to Chicago, but I'm going to see what I can do. Now, the star of the Cardinals is really Patty Driscoll, who is the quarterback and head coach. Of course, it's not looking like that there. He is a Hall of Famer, and if you look at Pro Football Reference, the 1920 roster, he's the only one that was named on the All-Pro team. It's Patty Driscoll. I don't know if the option play is going to work long term, but get the pitch out to Bernie Hallstrom, the left halfback, as he was listed in 1920. In case you're joining us late, the Chicago Cardinals did not wear numbers on their uniforms. So as I re-edited the roster, I just went 1, 2, 3, 4 as I went through the roster. So back to the 1960 project. I'm slowly but surely working on the rosters. Right now I'm working on the St. Louis Cardinals. And I plan to, the goal is to be finished January 23rd and get started then. Some other projects I went and I ordered the last, I don't have a PlayStation 3 unfortunately, I have a 2 and a 4, so I ordered the last version of NCAA football that was created for the PlayStation 2, which is NCAA 11. That's coming in the mail. I also went and ordered the last version of Madden where you could create teams, Madden 12. And what I'm going to use those and this eventually for is a project that I'm going to call The History of Pro Football. Or not Pro Football, The History of Football. Starting with the Rutgers-Princeton matchup in 1869, I'm going to do as much research as I can, recreate, reduplicate those games. I'm going to take one team and I'm going to control it, whether they won or not. And just go through the games. So that's project number 2. I have a list of about 30 colleges and 20 NFL teams that we're going to follow, plus we're going to follow playoff teams, national champions, Heisman Trophy winners. This is a project I plan on pretty much lasting till the day I die, which, who knows, I'm 38, could be tomorrow, could be in 20 years, who knows. Could be in 90 years, I doubt that, but still the ongoing process, the change history, 1986. Not going so well yet. Haven't won a game yet. Haven't actually changed history. Voting is up. You can go to Facebook, join Madden Custom Rosters, and vote there. Well, let's see if Bill Bidwell can kick. Now, Bill Bidwell was not the owner of the Cardinals in 1920. I just used the name as a roster filler. Chris O'Brien, who I have as backup quarterback, was the owner, and you can see him right there, 99. Was the owner of the Cardinals, and I gave him 99 because I meant to give him 98, but I forgot. The team was created in 1898. So, I don't know how much throwing I plan to do. You can't recreate an accurate representation of what the NFL, or as it was then known as the APFA, was in 1920. You just not on a video game. Maybe someday they'll do different eras of football. So we're limited with what we have, and that's fine. You know. I also effectively do not have backups, and injuries are turned on, so that'll be interesting to see what happens if somebody gets hurt. Other than a backup quarterback, one extra corner because you have to carry 3, an extra tight end, I don't have backups. What level are we on? We're on Pro. Why Pro? I don't know. It's just what I picked. Maybe we'll increase it. I'm going to try and use this as a history teaching experiment too, to concentrate on the teams. Now obviously with the project that will include the Madden 11, or the NCAA 11 and the Madden 12, I can't have the ongoing microphone in my ear, so you're not going to get anything. That's the same with the Vinny Vincent career that I'm currently doing, that has took a hiatus this week as I was working on preparing this. It'll come back probably, maybe even over the weekend. I'll do the next Syracuse game, which is at Pitt, for the 1999 season. If you're a football historian and you notice that I've done anything wrong, let me know. I can fix it. If I got a name spelt wrong, if they did have a jersey number at some point in their career, let me know. Alright, so the 1920 Cardinals. They were in Chicago at the time, and as I said, Patty Driscoll, his neck looks dark. It's weird. Maybe it's a shadow. Was the quarterback. But more or less, quarterbacks in those days were more the deep man, or they were called the quarterback because they were quarter of the way in the backfield. Pretty much where the fullback stands now, and the fullback would be where the tailback stands. Actually, I guess the quarterback would be, I don't know. They ran a lot more shotguns type of situation, straight T. It's much harder to describe what the game was like in 1920 as compared to 2017, almost 100 years later. I don't even know, didn't even have any real accurate pictures of what Patty Driscoll looked like, so not that I really looked hard either. I created, I was going to do this with, as you can see in the bottom, the Eagles score going by. You might have seen the name F. Pollard. I was going to do this using the Akron Pros from 1920 because they were the champion as my first team. And I actually went through and created the whole team on the Philadelphia offense. Why Philadelphia? I don't know. I could have used Cleveland or Cincinnati, I suppose. But, to be honest with you, I I played a game and it didn't save. But they were still on. So they're still saved on the roster set, the NFL history roster set they used. Injury timeout. So now we'll see Charles Comiskey. Didn't know after the Black Sox scandal in 1919 he went and punted for the Chicago Cardinals, did you? What else? Individual player seasons. I made up a list of my players, the guys I pick every year to be a star, the NFL Hall of Famers. Again, I don't know how consistent these will be, because I do have the main things, the 1960s project that I'm working on, any Madden Custom Rosters playoff things. Right now we're doing a season with the 87 rosters. Going for his knees. Len Charpier. Len Charpier, 23-year-old, listed as a fullback. Not a starter though. Born on February 17th, 1897. £235 out of the University of Illinois. The Chicago Cardinals in 1920, in Week 1, did not play a game. Again, teams in 1920 made their own schedule. They did not consistently play against just NFL teams. So if they could get a game against another team in Chicago, an organized athletic club, or somebody, they would play them. So oh, God damn it, I almost had the sack. So here's how this plan works. I created the 1920 roster. I have not uploaded them. If I get, a lot of feedback saying, yeah, I want to play with them too, I will. I started the connected franchise. I made the adjustments there that I had to. Height, weight, age. I added a normal Park as my backup tight end because I had to. I had to carry 2 tight ends. And like I said, I suppose I could have just, had a 50-man roster, 25 names, put them on offense, and 25 names put on defense. Maybe I'll still do that. I'll go sign backups, I don't know. But the only reason I didn't, because that would take more effort in the off season when I get to the end of the season and I've got to redo, the 1921 roster. I'd have to make sure you do 2 to 3 guys. Again, I'm going to do a lot of running. I would really like to use Patty Driscoll more. I got to try and find an offense maybe with quarterback run. So these games might be boring at first. Probably should have thrown the ball though on third down. Aaron Rodgers is on Tampa Bay. It's kind of interesting too what you're going to see. Matt Ryan is in Miami. Huh. How about that? So the two franchises that have 1920 names, to recap, Philadelphia Eagles have the names of the 1920 Akron Pros, and the Arizona Cardinals here have the name of the 1920 Chicago Cardinals. Philadelphia's offense, because I put all 25 guys in offense. I was going to do the season as Akron, and then I decided just to go with a franchise that would be around longer, and that being the Cardinals. Nice hit there by number 19. And again, I can't look up numbers. They didn't wear numbers in 1920, so I gotta wait till I see a name, and then I can give you some info. I got the computer in front of me, at least this game. I might not every game. I come home from work after working a double and want to play a game or something, then highlight them hopefully when they do something right. Now, because of that, with that 1960s plan, I'm going to run the NFL champion or NFC champion, unless it's the Giants. That's the one thing I didn't go over that. If it's the Giants, since he's controlling the Giants, I will be the NFC runner-up. So in 1986, I would be the Redskins. In 1990, the 49ers. In 2000, the Vikings. In 2007, the Packers. In 2011, the 49ers. And same with him doing the AFL, AFC, because I'm the Bills, he would be the runner-up. So in 1964, 64, and 65, both would be the Chargers. 90, the Raiders. 91, the Broncos. 92, the Dolphins, and 93, the Chiefs. The player career, I'm only going to create the one player. So if it happens to be Thurman Thomas, we'll say, because he was the very first player I ever picked coming out of college to be a star, I will put him in Oklahoma State for those 4 years of college, and I only plan to control Thurman Thomas. And then after 4 years, depending on how well I did, I put him, I'll put him in Buffalo. I don't think I'm going to base it depending on how well I did or not, because I don't want to, I have a little less control over it once we get to the Madden game, because then they could just decide to retire you after. You will notice that the Lions are much, much bigger. The Lions were created by, the roster was created by, which one was this? Kappa Classics? Fumble, who got it? Lions. Oh, 1st and goal. I wonder how extensive they're going to get with the celebrations next year for Madden 19. Well, that's why you play the games. Number 4, Curran. That is Harry Curran, 26-year-old at the University of Massachusetts, 5'10", 180. Born June 2nd, 1894. I guess I can't make Patty Driscoll a star if all I'm doing is running into the line and getting no yards. I'm gonna have to make him a star the old-fashioned way. I really don't want him to retire before he's supposed to, because then I'd have to recreate him. Oh, get away from one guy just to run into another. Well, I guess I gotta stop talking about what we're doing and start playing, because I'm not doing so well. You guys don't want to watch a loser. That's halftime. Chuck Long is 8 of 11, 81 yards. Gary James, 7 carries, 20 yards and a touchdown. Patty Driscoll, 2 for 2, 24 yards. Bernie Hallstrom, 12 carries, 39 yards. Back to the beginning. Plus that Chicago Cardinal defense with 3 sacks. Bill Bidwell connecting on a field goal. And Gary James getting the Lions rushing touchdown. The Cardinals do get the ball back. You can see how short they are compared to the Lions. And how much smaller they are. That, I believe, is affecting it as well, too. And that is going to be a struggle. And it's going to be a struggle for 60 years. You know, till really the 1980s and the explosion of size. Some of it, not natural, but not all of it proven. That was Paul Florence, the 20-year-old out of Loyola, Illinois, born April 22nd, 1900. And I wish they had their date of deaths on here too. I mean, they do if you click on them, but I'm playing a game. I don't have time to do all that. Did y'all happen to notice or see the custom roster playoff test we did? With users Chuck Diesel 1968, John M, VinnyXWolf, and More BJ 85, controlling the respectively 84 Dolphins, 86 Giants, 96 Packers, and 90 Bills. We ran a playoff situation where I advanced the teams to the AFC and NFC championships, and both conference championships went into overtime. And the Super Bowl came down to the wire. If you missed it, you can look under my created playlists and look for custom Madden playoffs. Check those games out. Very good. We're going to do more of that through the Madden Custom Rosters Facebook page. I even thought of a scenario if I could get 32 guys to do 3 sets of playoffs, 2 12s and an 8, and then have the final 4s from each, make it into a 4th playoff. That's 12 teams. Harry Curran on the catch. Patty Driscoll, 4 for 4, 58 yards. That's why he's a Hall of Famer. They didn't throw the ball much back then, but Driscoll is a Hall of Famer. I just got word from one of my co-creators on the rest. Well, I can't say co-creators because he's done a lot more work than I have. That you can move the Cardinals to Chicago and keep their names and jerseys. So look for that. After the 1920 season, hopefully, I don't know, I think a lot of it depends on the age of University of Phoenix Stadium. It's relatively new, so I don't know, just make the move before week 5 of season 1. Oh, well, there you go. So in the coming weeks, I'll be looking to move the Cardinals to Chicago. That's going to be good, put them in an outdoor stadium. Can you name, I have never actually moved a franchise. I've been in franchises where guys have. Can you name the stadium? Can I name it Comiskey Park? I'm getting text messages, so in case you're watching this video on replay and you're not seeing anything pop up. Again, if you want these 1920 Chicago Cardinals roster, I will upload them. I used the Kappa, I believe I used the Kappa Classics as a base. It's mostly the 87 rosters, so and he only changed, I think at the time I downloaded like 14 teams, so most of them are 87. I don't understand why in the quarterback sneak they completely just dive. Is there another quarterback play? Okay, I'm gonna let you go now. Sorry about that. Alright, I had a phone call. Sorry about that. Let's see, I did receive some messages while I was gone. I know it is hard to coordinate. Hey, I'm up for anything with playoffs. I'm up for any era. If we want to work on rosters, I'm going to be releasing the 1960 rosters. I said on January 23rd or 22nd. I forget which exact date it is. I got the Bills, Packers, Steelers, and Giants are completely done. The Cardinals I have through jersey number 70 done because I do it in jersey numerical order. I'm not really fussing with the ratings or equipment on those so much as because we're controlling the teams we're controlling. I'll go through each year and make sure that the Bills and the Giants are accurately, their equipment's accurate, and then the other teams are controlling. So like in 1960, the Oilers, Titans, the Oilers and the Eagles, their equipment looks right. Oh, I'm gonna get a delay of game because I'm busy explaining something. Oh well. But I can upload the rosters and some guys who know more about ratings and stuff like that. And I will even be willing to help with equipment after that. I want to get this project started with John M. and I. Because we had it going. We did a very successful season with the 86 Giants and 91 Bills. The whole rest of the league was 2017. It was a fun season. Because we were each playing our favorite era team. We both met in the Super Bowl because we're playing on pro level. So it's, you know, because the point of these is to win the Super Bowl, right? You play on all pro head to head, but why play against a computer? I know guys play on all Madden, and I get that. They want the challenge. I'm not that good. So let me go undefeated on pro, and then I'll move it up to all pro. I mean, here I'm trying to call 85% run plays, so. There was forward passing in 1920. Just, the rules were very confusing. Up till about 1933, you had to be 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage to throw the ball. And if you threw an incomplete pass into the end zone, it was a touchback for the other team. I'm not kidding on those rules. Those were actual rules in the NFL in the 20s and early 30s. There are still some relics of rules in the playbook, too, that come into play every now and then. I think the last time I saw a fair catch free kick field goal, though, was in the late 80s. This is where if you get a... Oh, I guess you call for a fair catch on a kickoff. It has to be a kickoff, not a punt. You can then kick a field goal from right there. So you think about it when the kickoffs were on the 30. Let's say they went with an onside kick. And it was one of those, instead of a bouncer, the kicker pops it up into the air. You call for a fair catch. You catch it on the 41. You can then go for a field goal right there. There's no holder. There's no off the tee. Or, I mean, there's a holder, but the holder spots the ball down at the 41. So you're looking at a 51-yard field goal. Recently, I saw a video from the 85 season between the Colts and Patriots, and it was on YouTube, and it was about a 7-minute clip as the announcers are describing the rule and trying to explain. Not really sure what's going on. But the Colts, I think it was the Colts, happened to know and happened to get I think they missed the field goal in the long run because it was going to be like a 66-yard field goal or something. But there's no rush. It's like a punt. It's like a free kick. I think that's my first incompletion. Yep, 6 of 704 yards. So I'm on a 38. So at about 17, we're looking at a 55-yard field goal for Bill Bidwell, the future owner of the team. And I think we're going to punt. Charles Kaminsky. The hardest thing about doing the 1920s is that, especially with the 1920 season itself, there's only 2 teams that are still around. From 1920, 21 there's 3 teams. The Packers came in. They were independent 1919, 1920. The Chicago Cardinals and the Decatur Staleys. The Decatur Staleys are now the Chicago Bears. Green Bay joined the league in 1921. The New York Giants joined the league in 1925. The Frankfurt Yellow Jackets were sold back to the league around, I want to say, 29 or 30. I'd have to look that up. And they were repurchased as the Philadelphia Eagles. So some say the Frankfurt Yellow Jackets are the Eagles, some say they're not. The Dayton Triangles franchise has been sold back to the league, and then that league team put back out so many times they're actually now known as the Indianapolis Colts. But the Indianapolis Colts themselves don't count their history until about 1940-something with the Boston Yanks. Or was it the Boston Bulldogs first? They changed their names too several times. Some could have also, I've seen arguments online where the Orange Tornadoes, a franchise that came in during the 20s, actually was sold back to the league and then bought back out and eventually became the Washington Redskins. That one's another one that's a little difficult to follow. But for this example, we're talking about the Chicago Cardinals, formed in 1898 as the Morgan Athletic Club. Oh. No control. Wow, he's all over me. In 1899, they then were named after the Racines, the street they are on, the Racine Street Athletic Club, or the Racine Athletic Club, RAC. They had some maroon jerseys, some faded maroon jerseys donated to them by the University of Chicago. And Chris O'Brien, the leader of the Cardinals, said they looked more cardinal red than maroon, and they adopted the name of the Racine Cardinals. They disbanded after 1904 due to financial woes. Came back in 1912. Once again, the Racine Cardinals. Still, Chris O'Brien was still involved. They would stay as the Racine Cardinals throughout the 1900s and 1910s. When forming the APFA, the Cardinals adopted their city name as the Chicago Cardinals and competed for territorial domination with the Chicago Bears. There were also a couple other teams in Chicago in that year. The Dayton Triangles are one of them. Or not Dayton, the Chicago Tigers are one of them. I'm sorry. The Chicago Tigers were one of them that was also in Chicago. There was also like the Rock Island Independents, the Decatur Staleys, who would move to Chicago in 1921 and for a year be known as the Chicago Staleys before becoming the Chicago Bears in 1922. There was other independent teams around the area, like the Chicago Stames, the where was it? The Chicago Stames Foresters, Moline Universal Tractors out of Moline, Illinois. You know, Chicago and the Ohio League were really the foundation of what would become the NFL. Well, the NFL ran 2 teams. From mid-1920s, when teams like the Independents and the Tigers and stuff disbanded or moved on. the Bears and Cardinals were left standing. And they would fight for territorial domination throughout the 30s, 40s, and 50s, with the Bears dominating and winning more championships. As the Chicago Cardinal franchise won the 1925 NFL title, although some consider that highly, highly controversial. If you haven't read or know anything about the book, the Pottsville Maroons, I suggest you get the book Breaker Boys and read all about how the NFL and the owners and the Cardinals really screwed over the Pottsville Maroons in that championship game. They also would go on to win the 1947 NFL championship over the Philadelphia Eagles and have not won a championship since. They did compete in the 1948 NFL championship in a snowstorm. And then, of course, Super Bowl 43 as well, losing to the Steelers. Let's see, second down at 2. Two-minute warning. The 1920 Chicago Cardinals season was their inaugural season in the National Football League, then known as the American Professional Football Association, or APFA. The team would go on to finish 6-2-1, earning 4th in the league. Their final games of the season against the Chicago Stames Foresters were played after the NFL season was officially over and would not count in the standings. As we go through the season, I'll go through their season, comparing week to week. As I said, in week 1, what was technically week 1 of the APFA season that year, the Cardinals did not play. Patty Driscoll, who is the Hall of Fame quarterback, was also the head coach. Clyde Zoya. 24-year-old out of Notre Dame, 5'7", 175 pounds. If you look now at the left guard, number 7, look how small he is. 5'7", 175 pounds. Born on May 16th, 1896. Ooh. That was bad. Okay, back to the Cardinals. They played their home games in Normal Park. The Chicago Cardinals, who had been named the Racine Cardinals, as I went over, finished 4-2-3 in their 1919 season in the Ohio League. A professional football league based around the state of Ohio. Following the 1919 season, representatives of 4 Ohio teams, the Canton Bulldogs, Cleveland Tigers, Dayton Triangles, and Akron Pros, called a meeting on August 20th, 1920 to discuss the formation of a new league. At the meeting, they tentatively agreed on a salary cap and pledged not to sign college players or players already under contract with other teams. They also agreed on a name for the circuit, the American Professional Football Conference, then contacted other major professional teams and invited them to a meeting on September 17th. At the meeting held at Bulldogs owner Ralph Hayes' Hupmobile showroom in Canton, representatives of the Rock Island Independents, Muncie Flyers, Decatur Staleys, and Massillon Tigers, the Cardinals, and the Hammond Pros agreed to join the league. Representatives of the Buffalo All-Americans and Rochester Jeffersons could not attend the meeting, but sent letters to Hay asking to be included in the league. Where did I leave off? Team representatives changed the league's name slightly to the American Professional Football Association and elected officers, installing Jim Thorpe of the Canton Bulldogs as president. Under the new league structure, teams created their schedule dynamically as the season progressed, and representatives of each team voted to determine the winner of the APFA trophy. After joining the league, owner Crystal Bryan signed halfback John Patty Driscoll for $3,000. Now, see, there he's listed as a halfback, but in the Pro Football Reference.com, he's listed as a quarterback, which is why I have him at quarterback. One of Driscoll's young running backs was Ralph Horween, who previously played under the name of B. McMahon at Harvard University. Now, I don't have Ralph Horween on my team, but I'm going to add him now that I'm reading that as I go along, because I didn't see him on Pro Football Reference. But that's not the first time that something appeared on Pro Football Reference, or while working on a project for future playoffs, I was filling in names and numbers of the 89 49ers, and Pro Football Reference listed Brent Jones, rightfully so, as the starting tight end of the 89 49ers. But then you look down on the roster, he's not on the roster. So how does that make sense? Oh, excuse me. Nice catch to Curran there. Let's run this clock right down and kick the field goal or punch it in and win the game. More so I can take down to like 16 seconds and then use my timeouts based on the play call. Right there. Off tackle. It's probably Hallstrom's last stand, though, now that I'm going to be signing Horween. That is Bernie Hallstrom, the 25-year-old rookie. They're all rookies, because it's NFL's first league year. Ten plays, 68 yards in 2 minutes and 48 seconds. That's a hell of a drive. Only a couple pass plays. It's amazing that with so much running in those days, there wasn't a 1,000-yard rusher until the 1930s. I know they played less games and they had more of a running back by committee feel, but $14 seconds. Let's see what we can do to hold them off. Joseph Plunkett with the interception. 21-year-old, born March 23rd, 1899, did not attend college. So stay tuned for further episodes of the 1920 Chicago Cardinals. Playing in the desert this first year.